Hello, I'm Ollie and this is Criminally, where I talk about crime, pulp, horror, that kind of thing. Today, lots of wonderful trash. It's my weekly wrap-up. So today, Saturday the 10th of August, is the final day of week 1 of Gub August, which was the Anything Goes week. And I've read quite a nice variety of different things this week. I've read a gritty 70s drug thriller, I've read a killer animal book, I've read a cozy cat mystery, and I've read a very extreme book about cults. So all sorts of different things. Oh, and some true crime as well. So I've got a few different things to talk to you about in this video today. And then at the end, as usual, I will do my wrap up of what's been on the channel and what's coming on the channel. So yeah, hopefully you are taking part in Gub August as well, and hopefully you are having fun. If you don't know, Gub August is a month where we celebrate reading trashy books. And I've definitely got some trashy books to show you today. So let me get on with what I've been reading then. So the first thing I read this week then was The Snake by John Godey, which was not quite as good as I was expecting it to be. I was expecting this to be super tense. It's got a great concept. So the concept is this sailor who's been travelling around the world has decided to bring this snake back with him. I think he won it in a bet or something like that. So he brings it back to New York. He's kind of schlepping across New York in the evening, stops in at a bar, has a few drinks. He's got the snake in a big box. He then decides to walk through Central Park. It's the 1970s, so naturally he gets mugged in Central Park, and the snake escapes. And the rest of the book is this snake, which is, I think, yeah, an 11-foot black mamba loose in Central Park, killing people. So sounds like a great concept, and it was quite tense at times, and it's definitely got a 70s New York vibe. This definitely reads like a book about New York written in the 70s. I think the problem with snakes in books is they don't kill people in particularly interesting ways. So there was some interesting characters in this book, but the actual deaths weren't that interesting. I think snakes probably work better in movies because they just kind of look creepy, don't they, snakes? And obviously lots of people are terrified of snakes, including my wife. So I actually had to post it over the cover of this book while I was reading it so she didn't see the snake. So yeah, it was decent, but it wasn't fantastic. After that then, I read the Cozy Cat Mystery, which turned out actually not to be a Cozy Cat Mystery. So anyway, sorry, this ticks off the Killer Animal square on the bingo card. So for that central square on the bingo card where we're remembering Alice and Pax, if you want to remember Alice from the channel, Alice and the Giant Bookshelf, you should read a cozy mystery, preferably with cats on the cover. So I read this one. It turned out not to really have cats in it. There were some cats that one of the characters had, but they didn't play a part in solving the mystery, disappointingly. And whilst I really enjoyed the start of this book, after that, I felt like it went downhill, and I really lost interest in it by the end, to be honest with you. So the beginning's great, though. So the beginning is there's this book club in this like small town somewhere. I can't even remember what state it's in, but somewhere in America. And they're having their book club meeting. There's a knock at the door. There's a stranger there who's like having car trouble, and he asks if you can use their phone. And then a few minutes later, he gets shot outside, and it's about, you know, the members of the book club trying to figure out who did it. So it's a nice kind of cozy concept, but I just didn't feel like the execution was that great. And as I say, I kind of lost interest in it reasonably quickly. After that, another book that started fantastically, which I made a short video about, kind of praising to an extent, or at least saying I was really enjoying it. And that was Verity by Colleen Hoover. So this is a book with a great concept. So the concept is there's this very popular author called Verity, who's writing a series of books. She's been in a car accident. She's like confined to her bed. She's not able to communicate or anything like that. So her publishers hire this author who's kind of not particularly well known to write the rest of the books in the series. And the woman who's the narrator of the book ends up going to stay in Verity's house with her hunky husband. So you can probably guess at least one thing that's going to happen in this book, but there's also kind of lots of creepy stuff going on. I felt like that setup was really good. It reminded me of, you know, kind of like classic Gothic romance type stories. But the revelation, so various weird and creepy things happen as the book progresses. The main character finds Verity's diary, or like a draft of what apparently is her autobiography that details like everything that's led up to her car accident. Which the main character then proceeds to read very slowly through the course of the book. She doesn't just dive in and read it all in one sitting. She reads it over the course of a few weeks, which seemed a bit weird to me. So that's one plot problem with the book. But yeah, when you find out what's actually going on, it's A, completely unbelievable, B, quite distasteful, and C, just doesn't really work. So yeah, I was massively let down by the end of the book, but I enjoyed the ride. It was a fun read, and I stand by what I said in that short video, which is anything that gets people reading is a good thing, and clearly loads of people are reading because of Colleen Hoover. After that then, I read Cry Revenge by Donald Goines, a kind of drug thriller from the 70s, so about two rival gangs. And this was, Verity ticked off the host recommendation square on the bingo card. It was recommended by Kelly from Kelly Hooked on Books. So this one ticked off the drug square and the gang square. And in common with the other Donald Goines books I've read, it's like really grim, it's really gritty, horrible stuff happens in this book. I didn't enjoy it quite as much as the other Donald Goines books that I've read. I found my attention wandered a bit with this one. It's just lots of like man on man gang violence, basically. But I did think the end was really, really good. So yeah, it, unlike Verity, it got better as it went on. After that then, I read a book that was sent to me by the author some time ago, and I'm really glad I finally got to it. That was Once More with Feeling by David Bryan. So this ticked off the cult square on the bingo board, and it is really graphic, really violent, loads of twists and turns to the plot, which I wasn't expecting. So it's about this weird religious cult in England, and the members of that cult do like a home invasion on this like family house. And like hold the people there, like not to ransom, but just kind of imprison them in the house and do horrible stuff, basically. There's also, in the kind of background of this book, a serial killer operating in the local area. It really, really reminded me of Sean Hudson. So Sean Hudson, in the kind of latter part of his career, has started writing more of this kind of like horror thriller rather than horror, if that makes sense. So a book that feels like kind of a crossover between crime and horror, which this definitely does. Yeah, really felt like Sean Hudson, particularly with those two elements to the plot, the home invasion part and the serial killer part. And like quite graphically sexual and violent, like Sean Hudson books are as well. So yeah, I had a good time with this. I really enjoyed it more than I was expecting to. Had a couple of quite implausible but really enjoyable twists towards the end as well. So yeah, I thought it was good. Right, finally then, I read a true crime book, which was Killer Kids by Clifford L. Linedecker. So last year for Garb August, I read another book called Killer Kids by a different author. Basically exactly the same concept for both. A number of shortish chapters telling you, like, relaying true crime cases involving kids who killed their parents. I think this one was probably better than the one I read last year. And if you haven't guessed, it ticks off the Killer Kids square on the bingo card. So yeah, I think this one was slightly better. Some of the cases were quite interesting, but it was did feel just really exploitative, really kind of tabloidy. At the start of each chapter, there were 10 chapters. At the start of each chapter, you get like a couple of paragraphs summarising the case, which were just pure, like, over the top, like nonsense, basically. So it was in like in a purely trashy way. It was quite enjoyable to read because it was just so trashily written. But these are real people, these are real cases, these are real murders, and many of the cases involved children who killed their parents because they had been subjected to horrific abuse over a number of years. So yeah, I always read that kind of true crime stuff with mixed feelings, because whilst it can be interesting, these are real people that you're reading about. So yeah, finished that one this morning, and I'm now reading as my final book for Anything Goes week. I don't know if I'll manage to finish it today, so I need to finish it today really, but if not, I'll finish it tomorrow because it's quite long. That is Dawn by V.C. Andrews. This is actually not by V.C. Andrews, it's by Andrew Needleman. So this is, I think, not the first book that Needleman wrote under the V.C. Andrews name, but the first new series that he started. I can't remember what the series is called now, but I think he'd finished off, I think, the Castile saga that V.C. Andrews had been writing when she died. Needleman finished off, and this was like the first new series he started. I wasn't sure if I was going to read this or not. I wasn't sure if I was going to read this or dive into a men's adventure book for week 2. But I picked it up and read the first page. I was immediately hooked. It's so potpourri and trashy, but really quite enjoyable so far. So it's about this poor family. Dawn is the daughter of the family. They live in like one room basically. The dad's like just like struggling to find work. He's just got a new job at the point that I've got up to. The mum's just got pregnant and everyone's up in arms about that. So yeah, it's super trashy, but I'm enjoying it so far. I need to check if I've got more in the series if I enjoy it. If not, I might have to pick them up off eBay. So yes, that's what I am currently reading and have been reading. I've got a nice little stack here for Men's Adventure category romance week, which is the week coming up. So yeah, some classic Men's Adventure, some Harlequin romances. I'm really looking. I think this is probably the week I'm most looking forward to. Actually, is week 2. Right, let's move on then and talk about some channel stuff. So I've put up a few videos as usual during the last week. I started putting up a lot more shorts content, so I'm putting up shorts every day, and also posting those on TikTok and Instagram if you follow me in either of those places, or if you particularly like those apps and you don't follow me there. In my link tree, you'll find a link to my accounts on both of those. So yeah, you'll get some shorts content from me. In terms of the long form content I put up this week then, so I did a review of Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle, which is a book I really enjoyed. If you've seen my weekly wrap up and monthly wrap up where I talked about it, you'll know that. Had some interesting comments on that video. Comments from a couple of people saying, I would never read this book because it's got gay in the title. And I was thinking about that and thinking, well, okay, I suppose that's a personal choice. Certainly not a personal choice I agree with, but okay. But going onto a video on YouTube and publicly stating that seems like a strange thing to do. So neither of those two people are able to comment on the channel anymore. I make no bones about the fact that I try and protect the comment section of my videos from people with views that I disagree with, and particularly views that would be that may be offensive to my other commenters. So I want this community, and I do think of it as a community around the channel, to be as inclusive as possible. And I would hate for anybody from the LGBTQIA community to feel that it wasn't an inclusive place. So when people leave comments like that on my videos, I remove those comments. Right, moving on then. So I also did a video inspired by Rachel from the channel The Shades of Orange called I'm Bad at BookTube, calling out the things I don't think I do very well at BookTube, which people seem to have enjoyed, so that's good. I did my wrap up for July where I talk about all the books I read in July, and I also did a trashy book haul of kind of Garb August possibilities. In the week ahead then, I think I'm going to do tomorrow a video in defence of the book A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. So Willow from Willow Talks Books put up a video yesterday, yesterday or the day before, I think it was yesterday, talking about her experience of trying to read that book and how much she didn't like it. So I'm going to make a video in defence of A Court of Thorns and Roses, because whilst I don't by any means think it's a great book, I think it's a book that 100% has its place in modern popular culture. I'm also going to do a video inspired by another channel, Leander from the channel Leander the TBR Zero, where I'm going to talk about 10 of the best books I read before starting the channel. And I think they are all books I've never talked about on the channel. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they are. I've got another book haul video for you, and I'm also going to do a review of All the Fiends of Hell by Adam Neville. So that's what you can expect to see in the coming week. Anyway, let's leave it there. Hope you are all enjoying Garb August so far. If you're taking part of it, let me know what you've been reading for it in the comments. And as always, thanks very much for watching. Hope you're safe and well out there. Hope you're reading good stuff, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Cheerio.